Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It's always my pleasure to come to your home, to come to where you are, and to bring you the best, to bring you greatness engineers, like I call them, and to bring you people who are going to inspire you and bring, new knowledge to you to help you to get to the next level of your greatness. And today I'm not going far. Today I'm staying at home and we will have an amazing gentleman who is going to talk about men, marriage, and mental health. Yes, we're going to talk about men today, men empowerment. We used to have women empowerment, but today is all about men. It's all about greatness. It's all about empowering the next generation, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. So let us know where you're watching from, and don't hesitate to come in. This is your show. This is where you can ask all the questions that you want, and be part of the conversation. And I actually ask you to get your pen and your paper because it's going to be very, very inspiring. There's going to be a lot shared. So don't hesitate to have your pen and your paper so that you don't leave anything on the table today. And please share with people that you think will be interested by what we're going to talk about. And because it's not like in Vegas, what's happening here can be shared. It doesn't have to stay here. So let's start. Just want to give you, a snip of my guest today. My guest is Lakers Komaiya, and Lakers is based in Perth. He is a clinical psychologist and is also an author, a life coach, and also a conference speaker. So you'll have the opportunity, he will have the opportunity to introduce himself, to give you a little bit more detail. But I know that you're going to be inspired. So get ready. I'm going to bring him now. Another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Birai Telekima Global Leadership Organization.
Real is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily actions.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others, and you are not alone.
welcome, Lakers, to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It is my pleasure. I'm actually excited to have you today and to be able to talk to you about something that passionates you so much. But before I get to this point, I just want you to introduce yourself to the audience. Let us know who is Lakers and what do we need to know about you.
Okay, thanks so much, Mirel. Thanks for inviting me to your show. It's actually a great honor, a great privilege, to be able to come on the show, and just to share my heart, with your audience. My name is Lakers Komaiya, born over 50 years in Lagos, Nigeria, and currently I'm living here in Perth, in Western Australia. I work as a clinical psychologist. Myself and my wife, we have a clinic. My wife is a consultant GP, and we work together, and that's where we help the community, people coming from various walks of life, men, women, young, old. That's on a professional setting. And also in the community, we have some not-for-profit initiative which we run, one of which is the Christians in Creative Arts, which we call CICA, CICA. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just tailored towards young people. And the whole idea is just to help bring the creativity in them out. So what we do is that we write almost like a show, and
Mm-hmm.
twice in the year, once in Easter and the other one in December, during Christmas. We have two shows in the year, and the other one is the Men After God's Heart. Which
Mm-hmm.
is the one that's tailored towards men. Where we just gather men, just to have a kind of platform where men can come together and they can just they can share their scars, they can share their trophies, their victories, their achievements, but where they can also get support, from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not sure. Very recently, a lot has been happening, especially for men of color.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mental health challenges, and that was why we felt the need to just start something, which we started last year. It's actually over coming to the second year now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's taking traction. We actually just had the first year anniversary in
Mm-hmm.
August, which was really well attended. So, as far as the community is concerned, that's what we're doing. With respect to, I guess, my academic journey, I actually started that in Nigeria, and
Mm-hmm.
my first degree was in mathematics, BSc honors, and then I did my master's in information science, and then
Mm-hmm.
went to the UK. Did some studying in the UK too before coming to Australia, where I started my BSc in psychology, BSc Hons in psychology, and then did
Mm-hmm.
grad deep, and then did my master's in clinical psychology, and then did a bit of things here and there, and the rest is history today.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Fantastic, and
yeah.
so welcome. And we I'm really happy to talk about a subject that is still very taboo.
Mm, mm,
Men empowerment, because we talk a
mm,
lot about women empowerment, but we tend to forget our men as well. And that's really what I really want to focus on today.
yeah,
And as you can see, the audience, men, marriage, and mental
mm,
health, because
mm,
especially you mentioned the challenge for men of color, because
mm,
when we see men of color, we expect them to be strong. We don't
mm,
expect any vulnerability, and
mm,
it can be a challenge for them. So
mm,
can you tell us, first of all, what are the key challenges that you've encountered as far as, as a psychologist and as a clinical psychologist? What are the key things that, men have to go through and they find really challenging, and how do you really help them to,
mm,
to travel the journey? Because it's
yeah.
not easy, especially now.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start by talking about men in general, and then we
Mm-hmm.
can now talk about, men in color in particular. Now, part of what we've noticed, especially with men in general, I think a lot has to do with the social construct, the way
Mm-hmm.
we've been socialized into understanding the role of men, the identity of a man, in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, not wanting to be vulnerable, has to be seen as very strong, has to be seen as not showing any weakness whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But before you begin to know what's happening, you see that a man also has emotions. A
Mm-hmm.
man also has his weaknesses. Has his fears. But because of the social programming, all
Mm-hmm.
this a man does not really want to show. Studies will often show, that the women actually they use the services more, mental health services more. But the reason why that is because men actually just oftentimes they self-medicate, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't present to services. So if you really want to take an accurate statistics, I'm sure it will almost be the same, with men and with women when it comes to how they are affected with mental health issues. So I think basically it's all about, the social programming, the way men has been socialized into, this is how you behave, or this is how you present yourself, as a man, whether in the context of marriage or in the context of business or in the context of, relationship. You always have to have it together. But we know that, oftentimes that's not how things are. Now when we now narrow that to men of color, now, in addition to the fact that men of color also have the same challenges, now the fact that most of them have left, their original, their country of origin,
Mm-hmm.
to a different part of the world, to the Western nation, that itself is a challenge for them, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it comes into a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
In some situations, you find that maybe men come with their wife. In fact, in
Mm-hmm.
some situations, it's actually the woman that will come first, kind of like maybe come to sit exams, and then
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
start working, and then they invite their partner, their husband, to now come with them and maybe come with the children. Now, by the
Mm-hmm.
time the guy comes here and gets to the West, right, it's gonna take them time to find their footing. Whilst they're
Mm-hmm.
finding their footing, somebody has to continue to put food on the table. Now, who is that gonna be? That's gonna be their wife. Now, that's
Mm-hmm.
something they are not used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back from where they're coming from, they've always been the sole
Around.
winner, the breadwinner, the one that will go out, and make the whole family comfortable. All of a sudden, there is role reversal. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them struggle with that. And we know, when you leave your country of origin and you come to the West, it takes you
Mm-hmm.
time. It takes you time before you can really settle down. I mean, if you're a
Mm-hmm.
professional, you probably have to do a lot of exams, a lot of conversion exams. If you're not, if you want to go into study, you're either going into TAFE or you're going into uni. And when you're doing that, you have to do it full time. So you don't have
Mm-hmm.
enough time to work. So whilst all that is happening, it may be the spouse, the wife who may be working. And then because of that role reversal, a lot of people are not able to contain that. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe we'll get to that. A lot of things begin to happen in the relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
if it's not handled well, things may actually go sour pretty quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
course,
Mm-hmm.
then mental issues will begin to come in. People are beginning to feel depressed. Some are feeling anxious. People are getting aggressive. And things just go really really sour. So that's the part that even men of color or people
Mm-hmm.
who are not maybe
From
born
the
in the
country.
West, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
those are the additional things that they may struggle. And of course also mental health to a lot of people of color is also almost like a swear word. It's not something
Exactly.
that they,
Mm-hmm.
they sit
Mm-hmm.
with. They don't even want to hear anything about maybe going to a psychiatrist or going to a psychologist, because back from where they're coming from, that's actually almost synonymous or associated with madness. The moment you
Mm-hmm.
say a psychologist, oh, that means that person has really lost the plot. But as we're discussing even before we started, that psychology is needed. There's actually positive psychology.
Exactly.
So psychology is needed when things are good, when things are bad. There's positive psychology, which is actually used to help people, like you've been saying, develop the greatness in them. So there's the pathology side of psychology, but there's also the positive psychology, which helps you bring out the best in you. So those are the ways in which you can actually use psychology. So psychology is actually relevant at any time in a man's life or a woman's life. Yeah.
And that's the thing, and I like what you're saying, because when we, and it's not just back home, even in developed country, when we talk about psychology, it's more about the when things are going badly and it's wrong, so we need a psychologist to come in. But this other side of the positive psychology is actually as important, because
Absolutely.
it actually helps you to grow, help you to develop new skills, help you to, like I always say, go to the next level as far as greatness is concerned. And I think that's this part that is not really well understood by a lot of people, that you can see a psychologist because you want to do something positive, and you don't have any pathology at all. So that's really the important thing to say. So we're gonna say hi to a brother back to the US here. Our brother here, Bakari Jumbo, thank you. He's also doing a lot of empowerment work, and in the financial area, but also for men as well. I've seen, he has a show where he was talking about the same subject, and he is based in Rochefort, New York. So thank you for tuning in and for supporting us today. And for those joining us, my guest today is Lekers Komaiya, and he is based here in Australia. And if you miss out the beginning, we're talking about men, marriage, and mental health. And we already had, quite a good insight. We're going to take a break, and we will come back with Leker to continue this conversation, which is an important conversation, even if in some, in some region, in some countries, it's still a taboo. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in few minutes.
When I left Disney, I met lots of people who are entrepreneurs and just said, look, I'm starting. What advice do you have for us? And I got some great advice. And there was a few things that were key. First of all, and as you saw in the video there, keep it simple. Be simple about what problems you solve.
When people think about retirement, Marae, they think about somebody in their 60s and 70s and 80s. When you say retirement, and so when I talk to young people, they almost like disconnect from, well, I'm not ready to retire. And I'm thinking, well, what age? Let's change that word retirement. What age do you want to stop working actively for your income and have your income work for you?
What are you hoping for? That means that there's a future. That means that there's something that you yet still need to be realized and materialized in your life. And if you have lost hope and you're not hoping for something, that means you're lost. So we need to get you back to the place of being able to hope again.
The great Dr. Willie Jolly once said, a setback is just a setup for a comeback. We've had a lot of setbacks over these last many months, and it may have gotten you to the point where you don't think a comeback is ever possible. But I'm here to tell you, it's never too late.
Trust the process. So many times we get stuck and paralyzed from taking the first step and taking action to get out of that transactional to the transformational of our own lives because we're afraid. But trust the process. Take that one little microscopic step. And I tell you that once you do that, that will increase into another step and another step and another step. So that's what I'd like to leave with you today.
You are an original. You don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. I've had so many people try to mimic or duplicate what I'm doing, and I don't have a problem with that. And I'll tell you why. Because if God didn't give them the exact same vision, it may work, but it won't work like the vision He gave me. So it's really not competition, it's something else. So don't let fear or competition stop you from going forward.
My message for today is delay is not denial. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish in life. Do not stop until you get what it is you know God has for you.
Work on it. Plan it, see it, anticipate it. Plan what it is that you want to do. Plan where you want to go. See it in your mind, visualize it, and then anticipate it. Know that it's going to happen.
So we are back. Great wisdom. This platform, like I was telling Lakers before we started, is my PhD because I've learned so much from inspiring leaders, inspiring greatness engineers. It's just amazing. It's been 4 years of really great content and great inspiration, great insight. But today, yet again, another champion, and we have with Laker, and we talk about men empowerment, so men marriage and mental health. And one question that I have, Lakers, is we obviously see a rise in the mental health at all level. I mean, it's not just for men, but because of the way men are conditioned, how do we manage that? Because it is getting
Mm-hmm.
very rampant. It is present, and we even see some men taking their life. So how do we prevent this to happen?
Okay, so one of the quotes that I can say has been a defining quote for me. I actually share this quote almost at any opportunity I have to speak. In any event, I share this quote. I can't remember who this quote is actually credited to, but the quote goes: "Every man is limited by three things. One, the knowledge in his mind; two, the strength of his character; and three, the principle upon which he's building his life." For me,
Wow.
that's a powerful quote, and I mean it applies to virtually everything. The knowledge in your mind, the strength of your character, and the principle upon which you're building your life. So when it comes to how to begin to address the mental health issues, for men, the first thing will be, one, to acknowledge that men actually, we do have mental health issues, and it's time we actually begin to have that conversation. It's time we begin to talk to each other, have platforms, where men can actually feel safe, not just come to have a drink, but where they can actually have, honest talk with each other. This is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm facing. And you begin to see that the moment that begins to happen, other people will begin to open up. So that's why that's one of the sole aim of Men After God's Heart mag, where we have those platforms where people can come. Of course, yes, we come and we have things to eat, we have things to drink, but afterwards, we can sit down and we can address key issues that people are facing. So the first thing is to destigmatize mental health. And like we're saying, to let people know that mental health is actually a continuum. It goes from negative to positive. It's not just about pathology. It's not just about because we are talking about mental health, which is actually different from emotional health. If you're talking about emotional health, then you're just talking about anything that will make you to have that emotional intelligence to to demonstrate emotional intelligence in your regulation of your emotion. But if you're talking about mental health, you're talking about a faculty that's actually bigger than emotion. You're talking about how you solve problem. You're talking about how you interpret situations, which is different from emotion. So mental health is huge. It's a big continuum, and not until we begin to destigmatize it, we begin to feel free to talk about it, we actually begin to have a change of paradigm where men are not seen to feel that they always have to have it together, because it's that sense of, oh, I have to have it together, oh, I cannot break down, I cannot cry. That's what may push people, to that edge where they just now feel hopeless, because they feel, oh, if I let my guards down, then it's going to be a sign or a show of weakness in me. So the first thing is to destigmatize it, to provide a platform where people can come and people can have this honest discussion. And you see, if people are, if they're quite open with each other, it will begin to break those barriers, and many more men, will be able to get the required help that they may be longing for.
And that's an important step, because awareness is key in everything. Get the awareness and talk about it. Really acknowledge it. Take it as it is, and really express ourselves. And as soon as it comes out, like you said, you know it gives courage to other people, other men in this case, to also come out and start to talk about it, and really integrate it as part of their life, as part of something, any other thing that they need to manage, and not something that they have to hide, or and get the stigma on. So really, really, really important. And I was, when I was preparing this show, I came across, an article that, from Harvard Health Guideline. And what they were saying is that women who actually married, are less, prone to have, depression and mental health, especially if they are in a good relationship compared to single men. So do you corroborate that, or is there, any difference in a way?
No, totally. I think research has actually a lot of research has been done in that respect. Of course, we're not talking about causation here. We're not saying if you're married that marriage will cause happiness, but we're saying there's a direct relationship between being married. So a person who is married compared to a person who is just single, research has shown that people may feel happier when they are married. Now, why is that so? That may be so well because there's intimacy. There's a partner you can always talk to. Maybe it might also give you some kind of like financial leverage, because now two people are coming together, to do stuff together. It may give you a sense of belonging. It may give you a sense of meaning. But also, we can also say, well, could it also be that it's only people that are happy that may be comfortable to also get married? So you don't really know whether it's also self-selection. So that's why we won't say there is it's a causation relationship. It's just a relationship that, okay, well, if this variable is happening here, there may be a relationship to the other one. But we definitely know that when people are married, they are likely to they're likely to suffer less stress, because they can share. I mean, there's a saying that says a burden, a problem once. When you tell somebody about your problem, you've actually halved the problem, so to speak, which is what you may get in for people who may be married. And of course, we know marriage also means. I mean, we're talking now in the traditional sense. Marriage also means commitment. Marriage also means commitment. So there's also that safety for that person. They know, okay, I'm married to this person. This person is committed to me. We're gonna do stuff together for a long time. Unlike, maybe when you have like a de facto relationship, where there may not be the level of commitment you have in marriage in a de facto relationship. So So that's why, if you look at it, any which way, being married may actually still kind of like you'll find that happiness. Of course, if that's always the case, then we won't have divorce. If you always find
Mm-hmm.
happiness in marriage, then there won't be any need for separation. But we know that there are still variables, there are things, especially when two people come together, which if
Mm-hmm.
those things if you're struggling to actually gel those things together, then they may lead to separation, and eventually they may lead to divorce. And of course, all that also will also impact the mental health of the couple, whether the man
Mm-hmm.
or the woman. But and that's why this topic is actually huge. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
even the couple that it will affect. It will even have far reaching effects on the children, even
Mm-hmm.
as they begin to travel their own journey. So that's why marriage is something, it's something that we have to take, with some level of reverence,
Mm-hmm.
in the way it is approached, such that we know that if it's approached in the proper way. I tell people, I say, look, success is predictable. The first
Mm-hmm.
time I mentioned it, people said, Lakers, what are you talking about? That success? I said, look, success is predictable if you know the laws or the principles undergirding whatever you want to do, and you know the necessary and sufficient conditions that will make those things work. Then success is predictable in any field. You need to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
understand. So you were asking, I mean, the other time you were asking that, so Lakers, what do you do? One of the things you do is that if you're in a marriage, there are principles undergirding the marital institution. Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know that, if you don't understand gravity, if you're ignorant of gravity, if you go to somewhere high and you fall down, gravity will still act on you,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether you understand the law of gravity or you
Exactly.
don't, regardless of whether you understand physics or you don't, gravity will still act. The same thing with marriage also. There are principles undergirding marriage. Whether you know those principles or not, if those principles are violated, then that means that things may not work. So that means you don't know the principles. And if you don't know the principles or the laws, that means you don't know the conditions necessary and sufficient to actually have success in that particular area of endeavor. So success is predictable. Marriage can actually be a successful journey that you go on. Now, does it mean
Mm-hmm.
it's always success every time? No. Of course,
No. No.
that there'll be times of conflict. In fact, times of conflict are actually good, because you get to know the limits, to which you can get with your partner. And if you have good conflict resolution techniques, then you'll be able to the marriage, the relationship can actually be stronger after resolving the conflict. So again, the knowledge in your mind, the strength of your character, and the principles upon which you are building your life, they're very important, if as a guy, or even as a lady, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
have a successful marriage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's and I like what you're saying, because sometimes people just go into get married without even knowing what they get themselves into, without
Yes.
even knowing those principles that you're talking
Mm,
about, and the
mm,
commitment that it is
mm,
required. And then when
mm,
they go into it, then
mm,
the failure is there. but
mm.
uh, but really, it's like everything. And
Absolutely.
sometimes we don't realize it. It's like everything. You have to
Mm,
go with commitment. You have
mm,
to have a plan as well,
mm,
and
mm,
be able to to communicate with
mm,
people.
mm,
Otherwise it doesn't work. And I
mm,
hope the audience get that, because
mm,
it is important. And
mm,
one thing that I really want to ask it, how do we prepare? Because obviously, when for the young generation, there are things
mm,
that they're lacking. This type
mm,
of knowledge, they don't have it at school or anyway.
yeah,
So how do we prepare them to become those successful husband, or those successful wife,
mm,
and
mm,
who are actually going to be have a positive life, and not really
mm.
fall into the negative side of mental health?
Okay, so again, in psychology, we're huge on not just like sending people to go and like read
Mm-hmm.
materials. Yes, you can get
Mm-hmm.
information, from reading, but you see, more importantly is when if you have someone actually show you, or someone actually lead you, they show you, and then you try it, and then you learn better, by actually doing stuff than by just reading something. So one of the ways in which this can be shown is if you have people, at least who are having a reasonable good marriage, maybe become mentors to the younger ones, where they can have that access to them. They can be vulnerable with them, vulnerable in the sense that they can tell those people, the younger ones, when they have conflicts, perhaps maybe with their spouses, how they resolve it, the kind of environment they create, even in the way they talk to each other. We know one of the major issues that we see in marriage is communication. The way people talk to each other. Now, if as a guy, if you're talking in you're denigrating your spouse, your wife, of course, your wife is not going to feel great because of the way you're talking to them, or if it's the other way. So communication is big. If you're not clear in how you communicate with the other person, if you're ambiguous, if you're vague, if you're, or maybe it's on the other end where you're threatening, in the way you talk to them, or you talk down on them. All that is not gonna be it's not gonna help that marriage, to grow. That marriage is not gonna experience the longevity that you actually set out for, when you say to each other, I do. So communication is a key thing. I mean, virtues like trust is actually the basis of any relationship, whether it's intimate relationship, whether it's business, whatever that relationship is. So that's another thing a lot of people like scheme on. They think, because the moment trust is violated in any relationship, I mean, it's almost as if game over. You need to rebuild that trust, again, for the other party to actually feel like they can continue that relationship, because you violated their trust. Violating someone's trust is like you've just dropped the ball on that person. It's gonna take some time before the person can actually say, yeah, they're gonna trust you again. So as far as the younger ones are concerned, it's being mentors to them, giving them access, almost giving them access to the backstage, so that they can actually see what's happening. They're around you, they see how you treat each other, and you can actually, show them real stuff, and not just the good stuff. Because oftentimes, you see some couple, and you think, oh, everything is
Everything
good,
is
everything is
perfect.
great, but they might not show you the challenges. They might not show you the scars. They might not show you the times maybe when they didn't talk to each other for days, but you just see them and you think, oh, I just want to be like this couple. But it's actually the conflict that they had. It's how they resolve those conflicts that actually made their relationships to be better. So if they are not showing you that conflict side of thing, then that means you won't be learning the totality of the factors and the variables responsible for that strong marriage, or that strong relationship. So I think mentoring, of course, mentoring doesn't mean the young person shouldn't also, pick up books, and just get basic information. I often tell people, if you want to become a doctor, an engineer, it's not just something that you pick up by the side of the road. There are
Exactly.
principles. Again, there are principles that you need to learn, and you need to put those principles in practice. Those principles, if you use them in Australia, if you go to Nigeria, it's the same principles. Now, the conditions around those principles might change slightly. So that's why you need to understand the necessary and the sufficient conditions that will make the principle work. But the principle itself will still be the same. I mean, the environmental condition in Australia might be slightly different in Nigeria. So you might need to tweak a bit of that principle, but essentially the principle is still the same thing. So
Still valid.
having mentors, I believe that can show young people how marriage actually works, with all the conflicts, all the war zone parts, and how you resolve it. I think that would be that would be one of the ways in which young people can actually learn.
And that's important, and we see even in the professional environment, we need mentor if we want to progress, if we want to grow. So why not in our personal life, especially in our relationship with our spouses or anybody. And that's when sometimes we don't actually correlate things. We do things in isolation, things that work in a certain area, we don't translate it into another area, and that's sometimes what we lack. And I like the fact that you're insisting on those principles. It's about principle. It's nothing about, because a lot of people are like, okay, I'm marrying because I love the person. Yes, you need to love the person, but after that there is those principles that are very important, that you need to be aware of, and you need to follow, because otherwise it's everything is gonna scramble. And also having role models and really understand the good, the bad, and the ugly as well.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
you don't really repeat the same errors, and you basically have a good armor when you get into into marriage. So wow, I hope the audience, whoever is watching and whoever gonna watch, you gonna write it down and really share to people in your communities, in your network, because those are very, very important points that Lakers has been sharing with us. We're gonna have another break, and then we will be back for the last part of the show, where I really like my guests to tell us the big message that they really want with, because we don't want to leave this platform without inspiration. We don't want to leave this platform without some homeworks in a way. So that's something that we can go and implement. So we'll do that after the break, and when we'll be back in few minutes.
Is Kasia Trepanier. I'm from Hammond, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes outside of New Orleans.
Our end thing is love, community, and never forget about the people that paved the way.
Art is the only medium to help us understand that there is a lot more to life than fight.
Whatever you do in your personal life trickles into your business life. And a lot of times people fail in business because they have not succeeded in life.
I want to be able to be contributing, one of those guys that really are doing significant work to better the lives of people.
Every change is linked to a consciousness raising, and change is conscious. And if you want to change something in your life, start with your breathing. Start to work on your breathing.
Leave something for people to learn from. Make a video, write a book, teach, go around, teach the younger generation or the next generation to help them become or follow the path that you've been.
We are back with Lakers, and I mean, time really flies. We're already almost at the end of our conversation. And one thing that I really like to ask my guest is we obviously all do so many things, and you've been doing making an impact on the life of so many people. And my question is what is the legacy that you want to leave doing all of this, you really working with the next generation, working with men and investing your time. What is really the legacy that you want to leave?
That's an awesome question, Miro. Look, honestly, and not just because we're on the Greatness Engineering show. I often say to people that, look, at the end of time, when people are there to celebrate me, I want people to be able to say, I came across Lakers, and Lakers helped me to develop the greatness on the inside of me. I think if that's said, with every contact, people make with me, I think my purpose on earth would have been fulfilled. If you don't mind, I'll share. I often share this scripture from the Bible. It says, "Greater is He that is on the inside of us than he that is in the world." And I tell people, if the one on the inside of you is greater, then the least you can be is to be great. So you have the mechanism already on the inside of you. All that we are just doing is that we are just uncovering what's already there. The greatness, God already has invested greatness in every man, because he says greater is the person that is in you. All you just need to do is just to allow that person to show himself off, whether it's going to be in art, in engineering, in music, in literature, in sport, in government, in politics, in whichever area, there is greatness. And that's why, as we're discussing also, I wrote my first book, Developing the Greatness on the Inside of You. That was my first book. So that's the legacy, that I believe, I believe, I carry, and I want to carry to the end, that people will remember me by, that, oh, that guy, I came across that guy. He spoke some things into my life, he gave me some perspective. And from that day on, I was able to develop and bring out that greatness on the inside of me.
Powerful, and I like the fact that it is already there. It is already there. We just have to allow it to come out. We just have to unleash it, and that's it, and without asking ourselves too many questions. So thank you, Lakers, for that. Just want to know, how do people connect with you if they want to continue this amazing conversation and get to know what you do, and maybe get involved, because at the end of the day, it's all we're all there to create this positive impact in the world, and it's a collective effort. So how do people connect with you?
Yeah, well, look, I'm on all the social media platforms. For Mag especially, just go Mag Global. Whether it's on Insta, so Mag Global, as in MA. Yeah, so that's our website. You can go to the website, and you can contact us, through the website. If it's on Instagram, it's Mag Global on Instagram. Same also. That's my, yeah. That's the Instagram. If you want to connect with me personally, Lakers Komaiya. That's the handle. And if you want to connect with us via the Men After God's Heart platform, that will be Mag Global. And the same with Twitter also. Twitter handle is Lakers Komaiya, and on Twitter also there is Mag Global. And you can always connect with us there, and we'll be glad to hear from you, and possibly partner with you, journey with you, do whatever we have to bring out the greatness on the inside of all of us, together. The Bible talks about iron sharpening iron. We there's a lot of wisdom around, and we can learn from each other. So please, I'll be waiting to hear from you.
Okay, fantastic. So as you can see, you can find Lakers almost, on all platform: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There's LinkedIn as well. So everywhere, please, connect with him. This, we just got a snip of his wisdom today.
Yeah.
There is more. So if you want more, please connect with him, and really, start to continue to make a difference as well, in with him, or get some insight from him to replicate what he's doing somewhere in the world as well, and really bring this knowledge, and bring out this greatness from the people that surround you and your community. So thank you again, Lakers, for your time and for your wisdom, for your insight today. It has been a great conversation. It has been great to have you again after, I didn't realize it was, so long that we haven't connected, but it's good to be back, and it's good to get, to expose again to your wisdom. And before we leave the platform, anything that you really want, the audience to live with, and anything that you've missed, or anything that particular that you want us to leave the platform with.
Well, okay, look, I'll live with this. By now, you know about that. I love. I speak in threes. There are always three things that I'm talking about. So when it comes to relationship, especially for the young people, when you're going into a relationship, and also even for older people, if you've missed that, you can always come back to it. And I have three things, that I say to people to help them to actually understand, the compatibility with the other person. So the first one is, what are your shared core values with the other person? So if you're going into a relationship, before you go in, you have to know what your values are, and you have to know what your core values are. Your core values are the ones that are non-negotiable. What are your core values? Now, if you're not clear about your core values and you enter into a relationship, that actually might be a deal breaker, or it might lead, to you having a lot of tension in the relationship. So shared core value. Second one, shared activities. You have to have things that you do together. If you don't have shared activities, how are you going to spend time together? If somebody likes one thing and the other person likes the polar opposite, so the time that you're meant to actually be working and solidifying on the relationship, you're actually spending it apart. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have individual activities, but you should also have shared activities. And the last one is shared goals. You have to have something that you're doing together. If you're not doing anything together, then when there is tension or when there is conflict in the relationship, it will be too easy to just say, well, it seems, you know what they often say, we have irreconcilable differences, and then you just go your way. But if you have shared core values, shared activities, shared goals, it would actually help to solidify the relationship. And you can also use that as a kind of test for you when you want to get into the relationship. If the person doesn't have shared goals with you, chances are that the relationship is not going to last. If the person doesn't have shared activities, that means you won't enjoy each other's company. You won't want to be with them because you don't want to do the same activity with them. And then if you don't have shared core values, then again, if you have differing core values, that also might just be the beginning of the end of that relationship. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks again. So just want to repeat, what was shared with by Lakers. So you shared you need three things, for your relationship to be sustainable and to last. Share core values, shared activities, and share goals. So take notes. Don't forget about it. You even if you already in a relationship, these are important things to remind yourself. But much more for those who are getting into those relationships and want some guidance and really want to build something sustainable and strong. These are the three things that are recommended by Lakers. So thank you again, Lakers, for your time and for such powerful conversation. And I know that it's gonna make a difference. And for the audience, for the people who are going to watch, please share. These are very important things that were shared today on this platform. And I just want to tell you that that's the end. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of the show, but I think we've shared so much today that you will have time. I think you will need time to digest everything, and hopefully, you've enjoyed, what was shared. And please connect with Lakers if you want more, and if you want to, to be involved in what he's doing, because it's really a big work, empowering people, and making sure that they step into their greatness. And that's a big job, that's a big thing. And I think that you will be welcome. So that's the end of the show. We are getting ready to leave. I will be back for another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show on Monday morning, my time, but it's going to be Sunday evening for the US, because my guest will be in the US, and we will be talking about our latest book, and also financial empowerment as well. And so a great conversation, again, anticipated to be a great conversation. So that's all for today. And I hope you have enjoyed this show, this conversation. And thanks for being with us. And hopefully I see you when I have the next episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. So thank you. Bye-bye. And stand still, please, Lakers. After the music, I'll be back with you.
All right.